Have you realized the importance of time management? What are all the goals and priorities if we in the end don't get to do what really matters? So how can you really put yourself in a position where you get to do the things that matter the most? That is why I brought with me today a really good friend that I really appreciate that's coming on here to share her expertise. You will hear in her story as well why this so matter. Because with all these things, all across all contexts of life, across all areas, relationships, financial wealth, health, whatever you want to achieve, got to make sure that we can be able to carry through on these goals on a daily basis, on a consistent basis. So with that, it's a great pleasure to invite down to the stage here, Parinita. Come on down, Parinita. Come on down.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm very happy and excited to be here.
Yeah. So, Parinita, for those that haven't met you yet and don't know you, could you share a little bit about yourself?
Yes, sure. So my name is Parinita Kothari. I'm working with a lot of individuals, helping them beat burnout and leading a life of choice where there is a life of fulfillment, growth, and a lot of ease and grace. Because burnout is something that, various studies have shown it takes a lot from people, and the working class in general is suffering from this in a big, big way. So that is what I'm doing. And I've been a coach for good 7 years in various ways. Prior to that, like overall, I have about 20 years of experience, 17 years in the corporate world as a leader, as a coach, and last 4 years as a coach working, full-time with people. So I've worked with 10,000 plus people and 1,100 one-to-one. So it has been like a life where I've got some good understanding of how things evolve, from a place where things are not looking fine and how we could take it to a place where we could have it all. Yeah. So that's what.
Cool, yeah, and so I understand you've been on that journey, and you're working with people as well to avoid this burnout. Could you elaborate a little bit more upon your journey in terms of what you realized with this importance of prioritization and really managing yourself, and how you got to this realization that you want to work in this area?
Yes. I see that a lot of individuals, as they keep on moving ahead in life, they feel, and naturally, with life moving on, more responsibilities coming in, different things to do, a natural thought process is to put in more work. Mm-hmm. And that makes the time component very difficult to manage for quite a few people, especially those who have a very busy life in general, with families, with various other things to do. And in that quest of achieving a lot to reach your goals, or to just the daily grind, leads one to miss out on various other aspects. See, our lives are vehicles which have 4 main wheels. One of them is career. Another one is health. There is wealth and relationships. But if you just focus on one, the rest will have, problems. And they're all very well linked. Apart from this as well, there is a lot more. But these are the 4 main wheels. And when a person suffers in this, the overall quality of life deteriorates. And eventually, even the things that somebody wants to do does not really work out in the best manner possible, simply because the energy is not at the best. And that is like a life not fulfilled, right? Mm-hmm. A life which is not lived. Yeah. So when I started, I reached a good place in my career. So to say, successful career, globe-trotting, large organization, large teams, good responsibilities, and good power, recognition, money, fame, everything. But with that, the other wheels were suffering, especially my health. I did not pay attention to that. So it reached a point where I would have headaches. I would have like a burden on my, the back of the neck and various other things, but I would ignore it for the longest time till it reached a point where I had to take that, pause and understand what was going on, because I was barely 38, 39, and I couldn't really manage the way it was going on. And my endeavor now is to, at that point I would say that, okay, it's because the traffic is too much, or it's because maybe the organization, there are too many deadlines, too much pressure and things like that. But over a period of time, I understand that it was the problems within me, if not the problems, but my lack of understanding that I could drive all this. So that's why now that I understand that I have the power to change all this, I'm just helping people. Yeah.
I love some of these concepts you're bringing up, and what I'm hearing is really all about responsibility. You said that, okay, you identify that you can change things. That's something I found as well. If something is stopping us, look in the mirror, problem identified.
Yes, totally. And see, we can all wait for the climate change to happen, for the governments to change, for the bosses to be better and the organizations to have other things as priorities, or the taxes to go. But, all that is long term, and we may not even really see it. So all that we have in our control is us, our hands, our body, our mind. So make the best use of it. Yeah.
It is the fastest way to change things around, when we decide to step up in the occasion and be responsible for creating that life that we want. Parinita, you mentioned about energy. Could you elaborate upon what the impact is of managing our energy in order to do the stuff we want? Because I totally align with you that life is about the balance across these different contexts, these different areas. So what is the impact of being able to manage one's energy in order to create this balance and achieve the things we want to achieve?
Yeah. So very good question. And see, a lot of people say, I do not have the time. I can't do this because I just don't have time. And they can't take vacations, they cannot exercise, they cannot wake up on time, and it goes on. However, the good or bad news is that time is actually finite, and the sooner people understand that, the better it is for them. Now, what can really differentiate? If all of us have got the same amount of time, our backgrounds are different, resources are different, everything else is different, but the time is finite and same for all of us. That makes you and me come to the same, level playing field in some form. Now, how best you make use of your time versus me will determine the level of success, right? In various ways. And this comes from energy. Okay. What do I mean by energy? See, energy is basically it comes from 4 areas or 4 well springs, four abundant sources. So one is the physical energy. The second is the emotional energy. Third, mental and spiritual. So these are the 4 areas which actually make you as somebody who's alive. Okay. And any dent in any of these areas would have a cascading effect on anything else. So when people say that I don't have time, they basically do not have the energy to do something. And tweaking one of these areas and then leading that tweak, percolate down to other areas would help to bring that energy and would solve most of the problems. Now, when I say physical energy, it is basically your body, your physical body, right? Which basically comes from what kind of nutrition you provide, what kind of exercise do you do, what kind of rest do you take, how do you sleep, all that is the component of physical. Now, emotional and mental energy is the quality of your energy that kind of enhances the quality of your energy. So if you are not in great space with your emotions or mental areas, your energy is going to be down. And it's like they are also linked. The mind and body is so well connected that the moment your emotions are down, you're going to see an impact on your body and on your time. All right. So these two are extremely critical. And spiritual energy is basically understanding the meaning and purpose in things. So when that energy, that touching the higher element in your space, that is also a big form of energy. Because if you really see, if you really find meaning in something, your energy is going to be better than something that you're not interested in. Right? So these are the elements which make your energy. And when you work on all these, your time is actually a byproduct. Everything gets sorted. And with time, naturally, you have a better quality of life. You can do things that you would want to do otherwise. Like otherwise, most of the people today are running those races, like marathons after marathons, but not really getting that quality time for themselves to rejuvenate, to sleep well, to eat well, to have fun and joy in life. And then life just goes on, right? And you just end up in the other space, other, world very soon.
Yeah, a day can go by so fast suddenly, and we might look back like, what did I really do today?
Yes. Yeah.
You mentioned that energy has 4 sources. You mentioned the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual.
Yeah.
You won't find oneself that, now I'm so unproductive. Or you even mentioned like common phrases, I don't have the time. I'm a victim of saying that too. I don't have the time for this.
Yeah.
If one finds oneself in such like disempowering state where we don't get to do the things that really matter, what are some tips you have in order to turn it around to be effective?
So, good question again. There are short-term tips, and there are the deeper things which will help you sort the things for a good time and forever. So short answer to this would be to have techniques used like to-do lists, becoming more aware, just observing. For example, thinking on paper is one of the biggest changes that I have brought ever since I started working on myself, which means taking that time out, sitting and writing down. So with that habit, just looking at what I am thinking, when that comes out on paper, I become more aware. And that sorts half the problem, because most of the people are either in denial of the problems, or they're just not aware. Or the third thing, if they are aware, they're not able to sort it. But once you become aware, it's like 50% work is done, or maybe more. Because when you are aware, then you cannot undo it. So if, for example, I am aware that I have 24 hours and 12 hours I work, the rest 12 hours, I spend 5 hours in things that I do not really benefit from. That awareness at a repeated level will make me do something about it. Yeah. So being aware is one of the things. And then basically, there are so many tools, so many techniques. One thing that I do generally is a night before, every night I just sit and plan the next day. It's like a very simple to-do list. And a lot of people say that, oh, this is such an old technique and what is it, etc. But this is so profound, because just giving a structure to what you want to do with your tomorrow is like setting yourself for a intentional day the next day. Okay. And next day, when I'm done with the day, I just do like the done list, which is also a beautiful technique to evaluate. So for example, a lot of people, they would plan something, but the next day may not really be the way you would have wanted the day to go. But to just write down what all you achieved despite the firefighting situations and everything else is also a reiteration that you've moved forward. So the done list always works for me, because then I feel appreciative of what I've done. And I also feel grateful for everything else. And I also then plan the next day better. So, it's all about learning and evolving from that awareness. So to-do list is a very, very good technique. Yeah.
Yeah, we can always learn more. And I love you share these practical tips. Journaling is profound for me as well, in order to get clarity, which is something you talked about. Sitting down and get this clarity, get this awareness, being conscious, being aware of where am I spending my energy? What task am I getting done?
Yeah.
And are these tasks really matter? Are those tasks really gonna get me to where I want to be? And in order to do that, we have to take that time out to be present with ourselves and look at what are our needs. So I love that you share this aspect as well of sitting down and write to get that clarity.
Yeah. Yes.
Because you mentioned like many people are in denial, so that presence in the moment is a big thing in order to get into that space of
Yes.
awareness and taking responsibility.
Yes. Yes.
You mentioned something
And
about
one work that you do, which is to really provide that clarity of where do I want to be? That is the biggest clarity. If somebody really has, that cleared, it takes time. Uh, it's not very easy to reach there. But when anybody gets to that, then it's very difficult to, when your goals are clear, when your mission is clear, when your purpose is clear, it becomes fairly easy to just say no to things that don't work for you.
yeah.
Yes, go ahead. You were asking something. Sorry. Yeah.
No, it's beautiful adding a value that you come with here. I was about to say, you also mentioned the celebrate wins, which you're touching upon again, like look at what is working for me. So as we learn more, if people get clarity on who they want to be, what is my purpose, what is my mission, they write down what they want to do. How do you like keep up the momentum? Because life can then throw challenges at us. They can be obstacles. Things might go as planned. How do you keep yourself to do the things that are going to matter the most?
Yeah, I think this is one big skill, and everybody needs to develop that prowess in the longer run, and which is about keeping the clutter away from your mind. Okay, so, and that clutter is not just from what you introduce to yourself in terms of the news and other things, social media, etc., but also whatever the stories you live with. Clearing that out is also a very, very big and impactful process. So keeping that crap away every single day is what keeps you rejuvenated on a sustainable basis. And it is like, it's actually learning always happens, but it's the decluttering or easing out your space to plant a garden. That is what is the bigger task. So on a daily basis, understanding your emotions, again, awareness, as I said, big task done if you are aware. So understanding, okay, right now I feel hurt, or right now I'm feeling angry, or I'm frustrated. And then just taking the time out and feel it and get done with it. But if you are not aware, you're going to let it linger for a long time. Similarly with thoughts. If you do not nip them at the bud, they are going to cascade into more emotions, more thoughts, further emotions, and then actions, and everything else. Right? And low energy, or an energy which is like not optimal, will always have an impact on your time and everything else. So I think I focus a lot on decluttering, and journaling is one way to do it. And other ways are to just monitor your breath. Whenever there is a problem, there is a stressful situation, just take that time out and deep abdominal breath. That is so impactful. So smaller things, like somebody was saying to me that it cannot be so simple, but it is actually very, very simple. So yeah, that's what it takes. Keep it simple, don't complicate it, and move forward. Yeah.
And that's where journaling can help as well, to look at what is working, asking that question, to repeat those successful things.
Yeah.
I especially love what you brought up in terms of story. That is so profound as well. Tony Robbins, one of my big sources of inspiration, talks about this. Brené Brown's another one as well. She talks about like, if there's like a conflict even in the relationship, like what is the story I'm telling myself?
Yeah.
And it could just be when we're alone and working as well, with things coming up, when there's a problem, a challenge, or we face uncertainty, whatever it is. Like, what is the story I'm telling myself? Because the story could be keeping us back, or it could be like a story that's going to propel us forward.
Yes.
I just see that you're tight and you're coming back so beautifully, connecting the dots, because that is also about being responsible, right?
Yeah. On stories, I have something which I've learned, and I've used it, because these exercises kind of helped me in clearing out a lot of clutter in my mind, and the stories that I lived with for decades. So if there is a story that's going on in your mind, it always is good to have a reverse view of it. Like, for example, if there's a story and it's you and me in between in that story, reverse view for me would be to see it from your side. Okay. Then a longer view, which is like seeing it from a place where 10 years later, would this mean anything? And a wider view would be to just like, zoom out and see, is it really important? So reverse view, a longer term view, and a wider view is what I've just been practicing when there is a feeling of hurt or feeling of anything, that comes up and it disturbs me. So yeah, that has been helpful.
Yeah. And for those who are listening, acknowledge your emotions, as Parinita said as well, is going to be profound in order to move on. And if we find ourselves being caught in a story in a longer term with our problems and keep telling a story that's holding us back, I love these tips that you come up with. And another question comes to my mind when you say this is to ask, like, who wouldn't do anything to have the problems I have right now, to get some perspective as you're talking about.
Yeah.
Parinita, I want to add some other tips or something as we're on here. One of my last questions here is, before we wrap this up, is if people want to continue the journey with you, how can they do that? They continue learning with you.
So another good question. I have my webinars planned for the next few months, which is basically to connect with me and understand what I have in terms of the thought process and the system that I've developed. So please feel free to join me on those webinars. You can always reach out to me on any of the social media platforms. I am on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Please join me. And I'm here to help. That is why I've made a big shift in my career just because somebody helped me. And this is my duty to give it back from here. I'm just passing on the baton. So yes, and that's why we've got connected as well. And I know you are offering something beautiful as well. And that is a beautiful program that you've created. So I would love to see people approaching you and taking the benefit of that. I think it's starting very soon, right? Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up. So I'm gonna bring that up. It's the Embrace Fulfillment Challenge. So as we've been talking about, if you have a story or if you find yourself having expectations of yourself and not living up to your standards, but you want to instead be bursting with inner power and inspiration, that challenge is coming up 30th of October at the end of this month.
Yes, please join, and I'll post this on my platforms as well. And yes, all the very best. I'm sure a lot of people are going to benefit from this.
Yeah, thanks. I don't know if you continue the journey with Parinita, when you do that, it's going to be fun, guaranteed. I had the pleasure of being to the seminar with you, and just your energy. You're a living example of living in a great energy state.
Thank you. And it's always a pleasure connecting with you, because there's so much I learn from you.
Thank you. Likewise. So guys, send some likes and love to Parinita for coming on, sharing her message. You can find her on the social media platforms, Parinita, and with her event as well coming up to really avoid an overcoming and burnout. Right, Parinita?
Yes. Thank you.
With that, Parinita, thank you very much for coming on. Really appreciate that. So make the rest of your day a great one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.